and the Australian once. But to his great dismay, never won the French championship. But playing very well indeed, has just come back to tournament tennis as against exhibition tennis after a 10-week suspension and a very heavy fine, some £13,000. But at 33, when many people think that he's over the hill, in fact, as Queens has played remarkably well here, looks extremely fit, is very, very keen. Last night, talking to him, his only worry at the moment is that he's not throwing the ball up high enough on his serve, which I'm sure most people would agree with. But he's very aware of it. But very happy indeed with his form. And playing against a man whom he's beaten twice. This is Robert Seguso, 23 years of age.
2 minutes.
Born in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Excuse me. And he's unseeded and ranked in the world number 39. Now lives in Fort Lauderdale, where Chris Evert Lloyd lives and was born, and is a man who is already one of the great players, not in singles but in doubles. He and his partner Ken Flack hold this title, the US Open title holders, and he really is a great doubles player, but coming down all the time on the singles ranking list, 39, and he was in the last 16 at Wimbledon and lost to Asuna of the Argentine in that round, the fourth round, the last 16. And he hasn't dropped a set here like his more illustrious opponent, Connors. And he really is playing very well indeed, unseeded. And so against Connors, who is seeded 1, it should be a match of a great deal of interest, because I'm sure Seguso will be at the net as much as he can. Connors, one of the greatest players in the world off the baseline, and particularly on the return of serve against incoming rampant serving volleyers. John?
Just to tell you how they got here, Jimmy Connors beat Mikhail Schappers of Holland, 6-1, 6-2, and then Peter Fleming, the United States, 6-3, 6-2. Guy Forget, the number 16 seed from France, 6-1, 6-3. And yesterday, Paul Annacone of the United States, 6-3, 6-4. And Robert Seguso's path to the semi-final, Jonathan Cantor from the United States, 7-6, 7-6. Then he beat Dani Živinović, rather, of Yugoslavia, the number 13 seed. Dani Visser of South Africa, 6-4, 6-2. And yesterday, Ramesh Krishnan, 6-4, 7-6. The umpire today, familiar face of Dick Lum of the Royal Air Force, comes from Wiltshire. He's calling the players in.
Right.
Dan, looking at this court, I'm really so impressed with its performance after one of the most difficult years for preparation of grass courts that I can remember. Talking to David Kempton, he tells me that one of the secrets is that this year he's slightly changed
Please, ladies and gentlemen,
texture of the grass
Connors
by putting a special Queen's Club mixture, which contains more rye than usual, and it wears better. And he's rolled it a great deal. He waters it each night just to make the ground a little yielding when he rolls it in the morning.
Play.
And it's lovely and fast and hard. And the players have all been remarking how well it's played. Jimmy Connors then to open this semi-final.
love. All. Ah. 30-15. 40-15. Game Connors. First game.
Well, while the players take a breather as Connors wins that first game to 15, just have a look around this famous club. There are 5,200 people here when it's full, just a lot of people coming in, and looking at a court that has been played on by, I suppose, every famous player in the world. On the left of your picture there, the clubhouse used to be an old stand, and they're celebrating the 100 years of Queen's Club. 1886 it was built, primarily to to house Oxford and Cambridge contests on the athletics field, as it were, rackets, squash, lawn tennis, and real tennis. And now the real tennis court's coming into the middle of your picture now. A game that is the most fascinating game in the world, from which lawn tennis was derived. And now stands the Robert Seguso, 6'3", 13 stone 4, very big man indeed, and the #1 world doubles player.
To serve.
And he'll be familiar with this court because last year he and his partner won the doubles 14-12 in the third and final set. They were on the court for hours.
One. Sit down, please, in the stand.
The movement going on just behind the server there. So Connors 1-love.
$15 love. First service. $30 love. $40 love.
Well, always ready to have a little bit of repartee with the crowd, and sometimes it puts off his opponent.
Just out. No, just out.
40-15.
So already I think we can sense that this is going to be very much a battle between the big server and volleyer and the quality returns of Connors.
Oh. 40-30.
Well, Jimmy Connors must be awfully pleased with that return. It was a beautiful second service, beautifully placed, swinging about with the spin, and yet Connors right out of the middle of the racket, producing that low trajectory. Beautiful return. Deuce. Ace second service.
Advantage Seguso. Game Seguso. One game all.
So I think Connors, about to serve, is going to find this 6'3" man with a long reach and very agile indeed, and with a great net sense from his doubles play. Connors is going to have great difficulty, I think, in passing him.
Love.
Two-handed pass of high quality.
All. $30-15. Had
a very, very fine ground stroke rally that.
Game Connors. Connors leads 2-1.
Well, I think the standard of tennis has been quite high for the beginning of a very, very important semi-final course just on the eve of Wimbledon, and there is a nasty wind blowing across the court into the umpire chair.
Which I'm sure is the reason why Seguso missed that smash in the middle of that game, which would have been an important point had he won it, because it was 15-all at the time. But let's have a look at the Seguso serve. Very tall man, one of the best features of his game, the serve, and a good volleyer, as all good doubles players are. They have to be good volleyers, and he moves instinctively at the net, knowing that that one was going to be out. And I must say he is improving partly as the result of having adopted a new coach. He approached Bobby Brett at the Rome tournament, the Italian Open, a few weeks ago, and asked him if he'd help him. Bobby Brett, who helps, of course, John Lloyd. There he is in the bottom left-hand corner of your picture. An Australian who was a protege as a coach of the late Harry Hopman, probably the greatest of all modern coaches. And along with Lloyd, Paul McNamee and Betsy Nagelson, he now looks after this man, Seguso. Right.
$15. 15 all.
Lovely low trajectory return of service.
What, in the walkway? The one in the walkway?
I think there's just a request to dig
In the
Lum by
stairway, in the
Connors
Stairway, young
to
lady. In the red.
ask.
stairway car.
Yes, he's asking people
Seguso.
not to move behind the server's arm there in that
Young lady, can
gangway.
you just stand still?
It's the steward letting them in, John, isn't it? While play is on. It's trouble.
So it's 15 all.
Ball!
$15 total.
Lovely play.
30 all.
So the depth of serve here prevents Connors from making a really attacking return. It's a little bit high, really. And the volley beautifully controlled and placed. 30 all.
$40-30.
I think it's as heavy a service and as fast a service as we're seeing these days.
Game Seguso.
His fourth ace.
2 games all.
Fine test for both men, just a week away from Wimbledon, this.
First service. $15 left. $30 left.
Seguso missed a chance there of getting into the net. He let a rather bad length ball go unpunished.
$40
Service.
left. Game Connors. Connors leads 3 games to 2.
Well, John, Connors may be a little bit worried about his serve and his throw up, but he's only dropped 3 points in his service games.
Varying it very well. I must say a couple of years ago, in fact, in 1982, 4 years ago now, how quickly the time passes, when he won his second title at Wimbledon, he deliberately threw the ball a little bit further forward, a little bit higher on his serve. And we might have a look at his serve again now. That's not quite as far forward as he was hitting it then in 82. And he's still beautifully balanced on his feet. That's one of the things Jimmy Connors, like all great players, does. He bounces on the balls of his feet to be able to move off in any direction. He gets ready to hit this two-handed shot as a lob this time. The second hand on the racket, making the control perfect, and it was a good lob. I suppose you'd say that Connors is not one of the greatest servers we've seen since the war. It's a good serve, but his great strength, of course, is on the return of serve, and that's where he's destroyed so many opponents with those bullet-like returns. And it's something that Seguso, I think, is going to find troublesome as Jimmy begins to get his timing against it.
Love 15, long.
Second double fault. Of course, almost everyone playing against Connors knows that, particularly on grass, they know that if they don't serve a decent length second service or a well-placed second service, it's going to be heavily attacked.
It was that far long.
Well, you can see the mark on that line clearly, and it's just beyond the service line. It's on the sideline. Plenty of chalk, but too long.
Second service.
Very good half volley.
15 all.
Connors, I think, expected his return of serve to be less well played than that, but the server played a very, very deep half volley. Connors just a bit pushed for time.
30-15.
Well, he's doing very well. 5 aces.
All.
The aces are rather offset by the double faults, 3.
$40-30.
Oh, yes.
Game Seguso. Three games all.
3 games all in this first set of a best-of-3 set semi-final.
First service.
No, too deep.
15 love.
Balls seem to be lively today. This very warm sun and this court getting faster every hour.
$15 all. 30-15.
Rather badly mistimed ball. Players really having to watch the ball, I think, today. The wind has been very kind to them this week. Very little of it, but today it's blowing right across into the umpire chair. Oh, yes.
All.
Three all, 30 all, first set. And the taller man rather surprised, I think, by Connors coming in very quickly behind his service there.
And disappointed because his backhand is his best shot.
Yes.
Behind the canvas are the balls.
Game, Connors. Connors leads 4 games to 3. Young lady.
The first set of this best-of-3 set semi-final. Interesting chap, Robert Seguso. Great doubles player. The #1 doubles player in the world last year. He's suffering from a slight knee strain. You've been seeing the strapping he has on his left knee. And it's a ligament problem. And he's not quite sure how serious it is. And that is precautionary strapping there, more than anything else, to maintain confidence. But he has been doing a lot of physical work since Brett started working with him. Brett believes that he wasn't really fit enough. And so they've been spending every second day in the gym on strengthening exercises and stretching. But he's been avoiding work that would involve that knee. Therefore, it's been upper body and shoulders mostly. They've been drilling on the court too regularly in Rome and in Paris. And I think Bobby Brett feels that Robert Seguso now feels much more comfortable from the back of the court than he did, thanks to some quite good performances on clay. And he had
There's one
plenty of...
behind the back and we can't find it at the moment. There's a girl behind there.
They've lost one of the balls temporarily. Nothing serious. Soon be time for a change after 2 games. 3-4 first set.
Yes, a lovely lob.
And this was the perfect moment to lob, because the return of serve again did the damage. Got the half volley. Jimmy had a choice there. He could have gone either way as a pass or, as he chose, the lob.
And of course into the sun, and it's a very strong sun. Oh, what a chance.
Well, did he twist his ankle as he went to play that shot?
Lovely.
Well, the umpire will be watching, looking at his watch to make sure they don't overstay the time limit between the end of the point and the beginning of the next one.
First set. Love 40.
So 3 break points for Connors. Poor judgment.
Connors leads 5 games to 3.
Well, rather poor judgment on the last point. The ball always looked as though it was going to go in, but very unsettled game by the server there. Connors serving for the first set. Glorious return.
Well, Jimmy Connors says that he may
15.
not be quite as fast as he used to be, but he feels that if he gets to the ball at all, he gets a chance of making those spectacular winners, even though he's hitting the ball a bit lower than he would have been a year or so ago. 15 love.
Easily the longest rally of the match, 14 strokes on a grass court these days, and a fast one at that. That's rather a long rally. 30 love. But this is the last game with these this box of balls, and it's a chance for, it should have been a chance for Seguso to break the serve. That's where players look for a break.
40 love.
Three set points.
Game in first set, Connors, 6 games to 3. All time.
So in exactly half an hour, Connors takes that set at 6-3, and the one frown that he had last night about his game is his service, but I would have thought today he would be very pleased the way he's serving. He's only dropped 4 points in 5 service games, and a nasty wind it really is. There's the Queen's Club flag, composed of the dark blue and light blue, the Oxford and Cambridge colours, and the colours of the Union Jack. It's a very lovely club tie. And across the other side, as we go round, in the deep corner on your right, that's the Lawn Tennis Association offices at the back there. Used to be the old stand for the in days of football and athletic sports.
And indeed, Dan, that building will soon become the headquarters of the International Tennis Federation.
Yes.
They're moving there from their present headquarters at Wimbledon
Take the
because
seats
the
quickly,
LTA are
please.
building a new headquarters here, which we may be able to see a bit later on,
Second set,
just beyond the
Seguso to serve.
covered
Quiet, please.
courts on our left.
Sit down, please.
Well, now the stand's absolutely packed. The latecomers in their seats. And they all have a superb vantage point. So the second set with the new balls, Seguso to serve.
Second service. Love 15.
Well, it was the lob here that was the destructive shot. He couldn't get back quickly enough to get it deep and away, and it gives Connors the chance to thrust the ball deep to the forehand corner. Love 15.
Love 30.
Fourth double fault. Very close.
15-30.
To start. Very close ball indeed. Over the new balls in this game, 3 services, 3 points, but no first serving yet. There's one in now.
Well, Seguso pays the penalty here for telegraphing his intention with this drop volley, and it's not very good either. It's far too high, and Connors,
40.
sensing his chance, races in. Seguso really again had the chance to do something. He should have committed himself one way or the other. So really a little bit of inexperience showing there. Well, Jimmy Connors in marvellously rampant mood now, threading the needle with these passing shots, thoroughly enjoying himself out there.
John, I think what it shows, of course, is what he said last night at the interview with the press. Are you as keen as you used to be, Jimmy? He was asked. He said, yes, I'm not sure, I'm not really, a bit keener. And there I think we saw it, the enthusiasm that this man has for the competition.
I mean, when you look at his career, he has been a marvellous example of total commitment, hasn't he? He's the street fighter, if you like. They love him in New York because of that, his attitude. Although some of his rather vulgar gestures I have deplored over the years, nevertheless I've always admired the way he's played his matches. And Connors really bubbling today, as indeed our water bottle has been there. But Connors, when you think about it, 10 out of the last 12 years he's been in the semi-final at Wimbledon. 11 years in a row he's been in the US semi-finals at least. And that is quite remarkable consistency. And among those watching today, John Lloyd sitting with his coach Bobby Brett there, who's, as I've said, looking after Robert Seguso. Went out in the doubles yesterday after winning a round and knocking out the seeds. So a break of serve already for Connors. 1-love.
First service. Ah! 15 love. First service. Love.
Oh, that's great.
40 love.
Connors there, you see, suddenly coming in behind his serve, and he has this drive forehand volley that's one of the great shots. He's not the greatest volleys, but his drive volley certainly is on the forehand. Another
Game
ace.
Connors. Connors leads 2 games to love.
4 aces now to Connors. And he's only dropped 4 points in 6 service games.
First service. $15 love. Second service. Second service.
Just out.
15 all. $30-15.
Best work on my back before.
Court's still a little bit slippery where it's green around the outside of the playing area.
30-15. Caught out.
And as I think we shall see, the call was a good one, because although the passing shot attempt down the line was a brave one from Connors, typical Connors on the run, just misses the line. 40-15.
$40-30. Game Seguso. Connors leads 2 games to 1.
Well, it's interesting seeing these two facing one another on grass, because they've never met on this surface before. Both their previous meetings have been indoors. In Tokyo last year, when Jimmy Connors won a second-round match, 6-2, 6-1, and in Chicago earlier this year, 6-love, 6-2 to Connors then. So Seguso has yet to take a set from him. And I suppose this sort of experience would be invaluable for him as he tries to become a better singles player, already one of the great doubles players. It's always difficult getting the balance right between singles and doubles for a doubles player, because so often he's in the latter stages of a tournament in doubles, which prevents him from being at the next venue for the next week's tournament to qualify in the singles if his ranking isn't going to get him a direct entry. And so Seguso has had this problem to face, and now at 39 he's getting into more tournaments.
John, I think the March victory at Chicago was just before Connors was suspended in the Lipton thing, was it not?
That's right.
Quiet, please.
Before he took his 10 weeks
Quiet, please.
enforced break. So 2-1 Connors now in this second set.
Love 15. All. Fifteen 30.
Oh!
15-40.
So Seguso at last has got a break point. In fact, he has two of them. Well, it's a lovely
Game
winner.
Seguso. Two games all.
Connors not serving quite as well as he had been doing. This is something that he's very conscious of. Feels he has to remember that when he's not serving well, he must throw the ball higher. So Seguso, 39 world ranking player and a great doubles player, right back in this second set.
Love 15. Love 30. Love 40.
Punished heavily there for a service that lacked length.
15-40.
Start.
Game Connors. Connors leads 3-2.
John Connors rather quick to get back the break of serve.
Well, that's what the book says. If you have your serve taken from you, then strike back at once. And he has just the weapons to do that. Those returns of serve have been the undoing of so many players over the years. And it becomes quite a problem for certain of them. They tend to shorten the length of their serves unintentionally, playing a little bit too carefully. Or they'll slow it down a bit too much to be sure and try and get the first one in deep, and he'll deal with that just as effectively. I remember so well, Dan, as you do, that destruction of Ken Rosewell in the 1974 Wimbledon final, when the serve was rammed down the Australian's throat. And Jimmy Connors won the first of his 2 titles there.
And what, 8 weeks later, of course, back on the grass at
Forest Hills.
Forest Hills, grass that is rather longer and coarser than Wimbledon. He did it again even more easily.
Against the same man, Ken Rosewell, who incidentally is coming over this year again to play in the doubles event at Wimbledon in a couple of weeks' time, or rather in 3 weeks' time, because the second week of the championships that event takes place. Connors back ahead with a break, 3-2.
Love 15.
It's one of the most effective shots on grass, particularly when it's still a little bit green. That heavy sliced approach keeps the ball low, and Connors was down on his knees there trying to pick it up. But the ball at Queen's gets up rather higher than the balls on the centre court or any other Wimbledon court.
15 all.
Well, you could put this one in any
15.
coaching manual to show what happens if you dare to come in against a good player, against a ball that isn't really deep enough or fast enough. And absolutely no problem for Connors, who had ample time to prepare and ample time to choose which way to go. I think he could have done just as well had he gone cross-court. And a little bit of a siren in the background as the police rush past on some urgent errand.
First service. Ah! 40-15.
Well, the linesperson at the back of the court put her hands down to the floor.
Game Connors.
Well, look at the serve here.
Connors leads 4
Just
games
clipped the
to
edge
2.
of the line, I think, though Seguso is convinced it was a fault, and he turns and glares and discusses the point with the centre court lines lady. But Connors has held serve. 2-4.
I should know better. I'm 34. I don't have to try after
He's in his 34th year, but I had a feeling when he was going for that one, they haven't got excessive side line here. All is well, but a bit dangerous that.
Please. 15 all. Fault. Second set.
Dick Lum has overruled. No call from the linesperson.
I'm overruling.
See that? How could you overrule that? Just because he stops, that means you overrule? There's no way you saw that ball.
I saw it clearly.
You saw that clearly out.
I think Dick Lum was right then.
Yes. I think it's rather naughty. There's no way you
Why don't
saw that
call it right
ball.
away? Why do you wait for him to get ready and get ready for a second serve? What's the reason for that, huh?
(15-30).
It's his 5th double fort. Rather naughty, I think, to accuse the umpire of no way you could see that ball.
(30 all).
Perhaps he doesn't know that the umpire is a one-time test pilot.
(40-30). Game Seguso. Connors leads 4 games to 3.
Well, the best answer always in these circumstances is to win the point without anybody touching the ball, as he did twice there, serving his 7th and 8th aces. Players react differently to these sort of situations. We've seen so often John McEnroe getting very excited about calls and arguing heavily, but rarely does it put him off. He comes out and plays as well or even better with more determination after a controversial decision. And so with Seguso there, I think. But what a lovely point we had in the last game there. The volley from Seguso, and wrong-footing Connors, who nevertheless gets time to go right down the line, and a lunging volley takes Connors now wide of the court, and he slides over in the corner as Seguso puts away an easy volley. And that was the one where Connors said, I should have known better. I'm 34, which he's not, of course. He's forgetting that he's not 34 till September.
Yeah.
During the course of the US Open.
I must say, John, watching him today, one is obviously thinking of Wimbledon, this great preparation for the championship.
Right,
And this is the sprint distance, of course, best of 3 sets, as I think the final will be. And Wimbledon, of course, is the best of 5 sets, the championship distance, and at last you'll have to win 7 matches to win the championship. You get a day's rest after the first week between the quarterfinals, semis and so on. But Connors, I think, is pretty fit. He's moving well, and he'll be a serious contender, I think, for the championship. He's leading 4-3, second set.
Well,
I didn't see anything resembling a bad bounce there. Perhaps the receiver misjudged the spin.
So I suppose we have to call that a 4th ace.
$30. 40 love. Game Connors. Connors leads 5 games to 3.
Lovely volley.
15 love.
Well, the tall man didn't really bother to bend his knees, but had the head of the racket dropped, but right under control, the racket there.
30 love. Ball's in. She's corrected her call. 40 love.
That's interesting, because Jimmy Connors quite ready to accept the fact that the lines lady, having called fault, then put her palms downwards to indicate that the ball was in. And Dick Lum had also called it.
Game Seguso. Connors leads 5 games to 4.
Well, a brilliant display of serving at the end of that game. There were 3 aces in it, and his 11th ace in all.
All rather late, though, I'm afraid, because he is the breakdown. And I don't really think that Robert Seguso has been able to live at the pace that Connors has set today. He's looked uncomfortable by the sheer pace of Connors from the back of the court. And the racket that Connors uses does throw the ball off deceptively fast. About the only player still using that small-headed steel racket. And there's no doubt at all that difficult it is to play with. If you can hit the ball in the middle of it, as Jimmy so often does, or nearly always does, then it shoots off at an amazing pace.
Well, I don't think Seguso is going to break the serve here to stay in the semi-final. Remarkable, really. Connors has served 8 times, and he's only lost 6 points against the serve. And I can't imagine that he won't be anything but really pleased with that. So the first set 6-3 and leading 5-3, Connors. 4, I beg one.
First service.
Say something. What are you doing?
I've gone with linesman Paul. I didn't see that clearly out. I'm sorry.
You didn't see that one clearly out. You can see over in the corner clearly out. But you can't see that one.
I agree with the linesman Paul.
You didn't see chalk. Then how could that be? Did you tell me that was inside the line?
I've gone with linesman Paul.
Well, the rule says that unless the umpire
15.
believes there has been a clear mistake, then he should go with the linesperson. Certainly a very close one, but it's 15 love.
$15 all. $30-15. $40-15.
So two match points for Connors.
Game, set, and match, Connors. Connors wins 2 sets to love, 6-3, 6-4.
Continues on his way to the final without dropping a set. An hour and 4 minutes, that semi-final, and always very much in command. So Connors 6-3, 6-4 in the semi-final.